On a rainy day in January of 2022, I was on a bicycle ride with my now husband, and I was not paying attention as I should have been. We were on a downhill curve, and the area where I was living at the time had a lot of farm roads. So, what would happen is that the tractors would come out onto the road with mud on the tires, and then over some time and some rain, this mud would be kind of ground into the pavement and it would form a slippery sheen, but you couldn't really see it anymore. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly where I was at the moment, had that problem on the road, but I wasn't paying attention. And I just remember all of a sudden seeing the world just kind of tipping. And it was like one of those weird slow moments where time seems to stand still. And I hit the road first with my hip, my shoulder, and then my head, but I had a helmet on. So it did get a good goose egg, but I was fine. What wasn't fine was my hip. I broke my hip on that crash. And a little background about me so that you can understand what this all meant for me. So I'm someone who I feel more at home outside than inside. I need to be in nature. I need contact with the outside world every day. I'm a shamanic practitioner for probably close to 15 years at this point. That practice is very, very close to the earth and involves a very deep relationship with it and with all living beings. And so what happened when I broke my hip was that I couldn't do that. I couldn't go outside. I couldn't do all the things that I love to do, like ride my bike and hike and swim and camp and all of these things. So I was losing my mind. I went through all the emotions, and that's okay. But I realized at a certain point that I, could stay in that depressed state, or I could try to transform that experience. And so what I chose to do on one of those days was to teach myself how to create a podcast, to create it, to edit it, to host it. And I began interviewing people who had been through trauma and adversity and wanted to tell the world their story and share their wisdom. And I'm a journalist. I have a journalistic background. I went to school for journalism. So I'm a very curious person. I really love to listen. I love to interview people. So this came very naturally for me. But what was interesting is while I was talking with all of these people, they all said one thing every time that really stuck with me. And it was, I can't think of one interview actually where they didn't say this. And it was that this has been so healing. Talking about the space that you have created has been so healing. And I started to think, wow, healing. Okay, so how could I help people even more with their healing? Like this, just holding space for them is so powerful. And I'm really enjoying actually being of service in this way. So how could I do that more? So after I, was mobile again, I decided to get my Reiki certificate, so Reiki level 2. I started taking refresher courses on shamanism and going a bit deeper into some of the various practices. And then during the lockdown here in Italy, where I live, I learned how to read tarot cards. And about 2.5 years ago now, I started a business as a professional energetic healer. I still have my podcast, which has continued to evolve with me, and it's called Magic, Medicine, and Mayhem now. I use my writing skills to write some of the episodes for the podcast. I have a newsletter. I still do some freelance writing as well, because writing is just, for me, one of the ways that my soul speaks to the world. And so, yeah, that for me was a huge awakening. Also because I had to do the deepest underworld journey. I was Inanna in the underworld while I was going through that experience. And it's something that actually started, I think, on a long bicycle ride that I took in 2017, in the winter of 2017, 2018, was when my spiritual journey really, really started. I've always been somebody who's been a believer in the magic in the world. Like, I was obsessed with mermaids and fairies and dragons when I was younger. So I think there was a part of me that always knew that there was, you know, more than meets the eye, and that there was magic in this world. But then, of course, as an adult, we kind of are taught to forget about these kind of things. But I don't think I actually ever did. Don't tell anyone. Um, so I decided to ride my bicycle across the United States of America on my own before I moved to Italy, because I was freshly divorced and I was a pretty big mess, and I needed to reconnect with myself and my strength and my intuition. But the universe or spirit or source or whatever you want to call it knew what else I needed, and that was to be very deeply plugged in with the nature that I was riding through every day, just so healing, and to start making a more spiritual connection with it. Because I've always had a life that I've chose and that I grew up in that put me outside. I grew up in rural Oregon. My parents took me camping and hunting and hiking and fishing. I went horseback riding, and then I was later a wildland firefighter and a wilderness ranger and a backcountry snow ranger. I skied a lot in the time that I lived in Colorado. Uh, but what happened on this bike trip was a more spiritual connection, because I started to see this animal helper, a hawk, was following me along on my journey, and became and still is one of my greatest allies. Helped me several times, stay out of danger or know that I'd taken a wrong turn. Um, that trip for me was a deeply, deeply healing and deeply spiritual experience. I had the great pleasure to take part in some sweat lodges along my way that just happened organically. I was given rocks and crystals by people I didn't even know. I just found myself really, really falling deeply in love with the earth, even more than ever. And so part of my mission is to be of service to others. Part of my mission is to help people heal. And to me, it doesn't always have to be heavy. It can be interesting, and it can be creative, and it can be many, many different things healing. It doesn't always have to be heavy, but it is always work, lifelong work. So part of my mission here is to be of service. Part of my mission is to continue being a storyteller and holding space for people's stories and for my own stories, which are very important, because that's how, humans, that's how we transmit culture and information and things that are important, through stories. And then the last part of my mission is being a bridge between us humans and the earth, because in the past, also shamanism, is born from this past. Our ancestors had a very, very deep and very, yeah, very, very deep and profound relationship with the earth. And we were very much, interconnected. And we've gone very far away from that point. And we're all kind of hungering to get back to some sort of a deep connection with the planet and with grounding and with the seasons and with the natural rhythms. And so the last part of my mission is to be a bridge for all of us to get back to our original home, and to cultivate then that feeling of reciprocity and respect between us and the planet. So I hope that I have the opportunity to work with you. I hope I have the opportunity to guide you along your healing path, to guide you to a deeper connection with yourself, with your intuition, with the earth, and with the magic in you and the magic all around you. So have a wonderful day, and hope to see you soon. Bye.